After all the usage of the Dragon Balls, the Shadow Dragons have arrived. This may be the final challenge for our heroes, but it might not be so straightforward. We'll cover that and more in this finale of What If Everything Was Canon. As the Shadow Dragons are created, they're then all summoned together, led by Shenron, the one-star dragon. He has a plan in mind, and in order for it to work, he thinks the Shadow Dragons should stick together instead of attacking separately. Everyone goes on the hunt for the Shadow Dragons in order to retrieve the Dragon Balls. Putting a stop to all this, they've come to realize by now that the Dragon Balls have caused this problem, and maybe they did rely on the Dragon Balls too much. The Kai even say so too. They don't know who's to blame. The people overusing the Dragon Balls, Bulma for creating the Dragon Ball radar, or the people who made the Dragon Balls. But as Elder Kai had said before, the Dragon Balls disrupt the regular order of things, and maybe they're more trouble than they're worth. This resonates mostly with Goku, Piccolo, and Dende. Piccolo wonders if maybe they've grown past the need for the Dragon Balls. As the one who used to be Kami, the person who introduced the Dragon Balls here on Earth, he thinks that maybe this is kind of a message to them. With all the weird things that's been happening recently with the Dragon Balls, it kind of tells them what they need to do here. They need to get rid of them. Goku never thought it would have come to this. It's kind of sad to see them go, but he does agree with Piccolo. But it's still so strange. He can't help but be sentimental. The Dragon Balls are what started everything. Without them existing, he would have never met Bulma. He never would have met most of the people in his life. They changed his life. They brought other people to Earth like Vegeta. And now, they have to say goodbye permanently. The Shadow Dragons are found together, but the Z-Fighters have a pretty big group right now. Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Broly, Goten, Trunks, Piccolo, Pan, Majub, Tapion, and both the Gammas face the dragons together. This is severely overkill. And pretty quickly, the Shadow Dragons are outmatched and defeated. Sin grouped them together for a reason though. He barely survives this encounter, fighting defensively just in case. Despite the dragons being stronger, the group they're facing is also stronger and has more numbers. So Sin enacts his backup plan, absorbing the Dragon Balls around him, becoming Omega Shenron. But still, he needs more power. This isn't enough. He thought this may be enough to topple everyone here, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. He needs to buy just a little bit more time. The Earth is coated in a negative energy, and Omega tries to stall, not fighting right away, but in the background, he's working on a plan. He's summoned something else. Thanks to absorbing the power of the Shadow Dragons around him, that granted him the ability to gain even more strength. Around the universe, things are shifting. On planet Namek, Mori watches on confused. The Dragon Balls start floating in the air, and then they launch off the planet with insane speeds. On planet Cereal, Monaido is shocked to see that the Dragon Ball he has flown away. Granola is too busy with something else to notice this. Out in space, even the Super Dragon Balls are moving. Very slightly, but still, they're moving. Back on Earth, as Shenron continues buying time, he sees the fruits of his plan. The Namekian and Cerealian Dragon Balls assimilate with him as well, granting him even more strength. He's still trying to move the Super Dragon Balls, but bringing them here is probably just going to destroy the planet itself. But the power from these ones gives him enough. Also, the Black Star Dragon Balls are still intact, returned to their original spot. They're on Earth, and they assimilate with him too. With these 3 extra sets of Dragon Balls, Omega doesn't really undergo too many physical changes, at least in his appearance, but his strength grows drastically. He thanks Dende for granting him even more power, as well as the creators of all the other Dragon Balls. They recognize the Namekian Dragon Balls, but they're confused why there's 2 small ones that appeared. Was there another set out there this entire time? And Omega's actually searching for any others that exist. Namekians may have gone to other planets, and they probably exist in other universes too. He knows for a fact they're in Universe 6. He could absorb more and more Dragon Balls, but for now this will be enough. This is his new peak. They're not going to be able to defeat him now. This is Hyper Shenron. He'll only grow stronger when he gets the other sets of Dragon Balls, including the Super Dragon Balls and the Demon Realms. The negative energy around Earth grows larger and larger. The group tries to fight Hyper Shenron, and he actually is a really big challenge right now. Individually, no one stands a chance against him. Collectively, if every single person in this group fought together and combined their power into one attack, they probably could defeat him. Like if there's a spirit bomb or something, but he's not going to let that happen. Goku does attempt to do this, but it doesn't pan out. Well, he sees one other option. The others all hold off Hyper Shenron as Goku pulls Vegeta aside. They know where they each peak in power right now. They've perfected their strongest forms. Goku doesn't just have the completed Ultra Instinct, he has a perfected one, with control on par with the Angels. Vegeta, on the other hand, has perfected Ultra Ego. The two of them can use the principles of these forms with any other form they want, whether it be Base, Super Saiyan, or any Super Saiyan form. But they haven't tried to combine the forms together, and maybe, considering both of them have perfect control of each form, it could work. Vegeta sees what he's getting at. Fine. Hopefully they get this right in one try. Quickly, the two of them perform the fusion dance, and Gogeta is reborn once more. They haven't done that in a while, and they're glad they pulled it off. Hyper Shenron scoffs. Sure, that fusion looks powerful, but he doubts it's going to do much. Gogeta tells him to think again. Both of them have ascended beyond their limits, and they combine each of their powers with perfect harmony, amplified with even more strength than before. Ultra Ego and Ultra Instinct. Strangely enough, when Gogeta powers up, he gains an aura around him, but it doesn't appear that he's even transformed anymore. His power has definitely increased, but Gogeta says he's ascended the need for transformations, and he assumes that his fusees have too. Their power could fully be brought out in base, with absolutely no effort or effect on stamina, so this fusion isn't going to run out either. While it might not look like it, right now, he's using both Ultra Instinct and Ego combined. Neither negates the other. And if Shenron's calling himself Hyper, then Gogeta's going to call himself Hyper. This is Hyper Gogeta, a fusion so strong that he's gone beyond the limits that they once thought they had, beyond the concept of strength and technique that they once held in their minds. Shenron lunges at the fusion, but Gogeta knocks him away with a single devastating kick. While not even looking at Shenron, he points a finger up in the air, shooting a small beam. The negative energy around Earth is now completely dispersed. Oddly enough, they didn't even realize it was spreading around the entire universe as is. But with that single move Gogeta just pulled, all of the negative energy around the universe got dispersed. He scoffs. Shenron might have been a problem to him a while ago, but at his current level, Shenron is going to lose. Gogeta opens his hand, holding it above his head. A violently pulsating rainbow energy appears in it. A ball of light so blinding that it makes everything else look dark in comparison. Everyone has to shield their eyes, even Shenron. The negative energy that was just dispersed gets converted into positive energy, as Gogeta absorbs it for his own attack. Shenron tries to fight back, but whenever he attacks Gogeta, he either dodges the attack without even looking, parries with no effort without looking, or receives the brunt of the attack and grows even stronger. He continues charging this blast and tells Shenron it's no use. It would be better if he sat still and just accepted his death. But he's not going to do that. He jumps up into the air, planning to destroy Earth with one blast. He throws the blast down, and Gogeta's attack cuts through his blast, slicing through it like a hot knife through butter, completely negating all that energy as well. The Hyper Soul Punisher connects with Shenron, and for the people watching below, it looks like Shenron's there in one instant and then gone the next. There's not even an explosion. He's destroyed so quickly that only a few fighters could perceive it. Gohan, Oob, Broly, and Piccolo. And of course Gogeta. And that attack was imbued with destructive energy. Gogeta turns to everyone and tells them, the Dragon Balls are no more. Not just Earth's, but all the absorbed Dragon Balls from around the universe. The Super Dragon Balls and the Demon Realm Dragon Balls still seem to exist, but the rest have been destroyed alongside the Shadow Dragons. Gogeta then chuckles to himself. He hopes the Namekians aren't going to be too mad, and whoever created that other set of Dragon Balls that appeared. Now, Earth and the entire multiverse are safe, and even without the Dragon Balls, still, the future's bright. They don't need them anymore. They've grown such a strong crew here and have fostered such a good environment for the planet that they don't need to lean on them to help against threats anymore. Over a decade passes after the Shadow Dragon saga. Goku and Vegeta eventually start to feel their rapid aging taking effect. The feeling hasn't fully engulfed them yet, but Vegeta knew this day would come. Sooner for him than for Kakarot. He doesn't feel like he used to. His power is slowly decreasing. He's getting gray hairs, wrinkles, and, unlike what Bulma might have done, he can't get the Dragon Balls anymore to restore his youth. But that's not like him anyways. He discusses this with Kakarot, and they only come to one conclusion. It makes Goku a little bit sad, but also excited. He knew this would happen. They already know what they want to do. They loop Broly in, although Broly isn't going to join them, because Broly's not affected by rapid aging. He's becoming a candidate for the next God of Destruction. And despite him being on the cusp of rapid aging, thankfully, he's initiated within his prime, so he'll permanently remain at this age that he is. But he wants to watch this. Goku and Vegeta plan to have an all-out battle, one where they die. This is how they're going to go out. The three Saiyans go into the depths of space. Goku and Vegeta power up. They have no need to transform anymore, but they do it for nostalgia's sake, essentially. Cycling through all of their forms. Goku activates Kaioken, and then they begin going through the stages of Super Saiyan, working their way up from Super Saiyan 1, the form that started it all, to their Ultra forms, Ultra Instinct and Ultra Ego, and then going back to their full power untransformed states, where they summon the full strength of those abilities. They dart around the universe, with the two Saiyans no longer constrained by oxygen, being able to fight out in space. Beerus and Whis appear, watching on as well. Only a few seconds have passed, but a lot of the fight has already happened. This fight may be a major spectacle, but it's probably not going to last long in the grand scheme of things. Blue and purple after images scatter around the universe, even breaking into other universes temporarily. They continue picking up speed, and eventually, the two of them stop. There's a brilliant explosion in the depths of space, and, not long after this battle, it's detected on Earth far away. Everyone was wondering where Goku and Vegeta went, but they all come to the same conclusion. Some are sad, particularly Bulma and Chi-Chi, but they're not completely distraught. Sure, everyone feels some melancholy, but it's more of a bittersweet sensation. They know this is how Goku and Vegeta wanted to go out. Gohan in particular chuckles when he realizes what happened. This is exactly like his father. especially the fact that they just both up and left without telling anybody. But he's comforted. He knows what happened. Goku and Vegeta knew that everyone would figure this out too. Earth's greatest warrior and the prince of all Saiyans have both now died. This is the end of their story. At least, in the living world. One of the perks of what they've done in their lives is that they get to keep their bodies in Otherworld. Their story as mortals had just ended, but it's a new beginning for their eternal lives in heaven. Pikkon meets up with Goku and Vegeta here. Part of him's glad to see them, but also, part of him's a little bit bummed because them being here means they died. Vegeta says it was going to happen anyways. He'd rather die in an all-out battle than going out due to old age. They're introduced as some of Pikkon's friends. They're a pretty weird crew, but Pikkon says they'll like the group. Dabra, Shallot, and Giblet. They're hyped to see these other two Saiyans here. They're a little bit weirded out to see that Dabra's here, and they hope he doesn't hold any ill will against them, but Dabra's completely reformed and he's just glad to be here now. He's also really glad to hear about Garlic Jr. in the Demon Realm. Since he's immortal, he's probably going to rule that place for eternity now. Not only can no one kill him, but he also can't die of old age. Goku and Vegeta share a confident smile. They're going to have a lot of fun here, aren't they? Broly eventually has to test his power out against Beerus in order to actually become a god of destruction. He's the candidate, but is he fit for the real deal? The two of them have their own all-out duel, and unlike the fight between Goku and Vegeta, this isn't a death match. They both survive at the end, although Broly is the one who wins. Not requiring much effort, in fact. He can use Ultra Ego, but he mostly uses his god form, imbuing destructive power in his attacks while using that. It's more of his own thing, and he feels it's more fitting for him. Beerus could finally retire, spending his time napping and traveling Universe 7 for more food. And even though he's no longer God of Destruction, let's say he maintains his longevity and he's not going to actually die of old age or anything here. He's just going to live as a retiree until the end of time, or unless someone kills him, which probably wouldn't happen. Over the past few decades, Shin has been acting as a better Supreme Kai as well, meaning more planets will eventually pop up soon, which also means more food for Beerus. Universe 7's God of Destruction, Broly, is now the strongest of all the gods of destruction. It's going to take some time getting adjusted to this position, but he kind of likes it. 100 years passed since Hyper Shenron's defeat. There's another world tournament on Earth, with two contestants looking very familiar, Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. There's some people in the crowd watching on, particularly Pan, Broly, who's visited for the occasion, and the two of them aren't really so sure, but they feel like they see Goku and Vegeta attending, though the two of them disappear. Once the tournament concludes, Broly goes to meet Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. They could feel an amazing power emanating from this guy, and he shows off his Super Saiyan form, proving he's a Saiyan like them. He has a lot to tell them, particularly about their ancestors, the two that they're named after, Goku and Vegeta. Broly recounts their stories, at least the parts that he knows. As for the other characters, Gohan became a successful scholar, publishing a book about Ki. The general public actually knows about it. Not many people have harnessed it, but it's a lot more common now. Goten lived a relatively quiet life. Him and Trunks almost started their own martial arts school, particularly focused on sword training, but Trunks ended up becoming the CEO of Capsule Corp, taking over it with Bra, who was the other co-CEO. She replaced Bulma as the world's smartest and richest woman. Trunks wasn't really as tech smart, but he was a good CEO at least. Goten and Trunks have died. Bra is still alive, but just like Pan, she is pretty old. Though there are a lot of other hybrid Saiyans on Earth now. Not a ton because it's only been 100 years, but more and more people will slowly have Saiyan blood pumping through their bodies. Broly is interested to see how that'll turn out. And even though many years have passed since these people have died, more and more people are starting to learn about these unnamed heroes. There's been so many crazy events on Earth, and no one ever knew who stopped them. There is a statue of a faceless Goku, the one who saved everyone against King Piccolo. Rumors start spreading around about this. These rumors turn into legends, corroborated by some of the living members. The Neo Crane School, led by Tien, who's still alive because he's taken the same herb that Roshi has. Plus, there's the Neo Turtle School, led by Krillin, who's also still alive for the same exact reason. Roshi's still living too. These three become world-renowned because of all the stories they know. Broly's amazed to learn of all of this, and he's glad to see that their legacy's still living on. Not just through Goku and Vegeta Jr., but through the stories that are told about everybody, including Broly himself. Funny enough, when Goku and Vegeta Jr. hear that Broly's a god of destruction, they actually know what that is. It comes as a shock to him, but from what they know, there's another god of destruction out there named Beerus. He visits this planet occasionally trying to get food, and he's become kind of a local legend in some cities. People don't know if he's actually a god or not, and he is pretty intimidating. But whenever he's here, he's in good spirits, and he always eats a bunch. Well, Broly's glad that Beerus is still living a pretty good life in retirement. It's funny that he's more widely known now, and it's because of his appetite, and not because of his power. He tries to reconnect with Beerus and eventually is able to locate him. Eventually, the two of them are known as frequent guests on Earth, and they each gain some notoriety. And an annual food festival is held as a celebration, one that Beerus happily attends, alongside Broly and Whis. It's mostly made in honor of the former Z fighters, set up by Broly, Pan, and Bra. And also, one other person who's ore farming nearby, Broly doesn't often come to this planet, but he knows that one of his close allies, Piccolo, is still alive. Same for Dende. Piccolo looks pretty much the same. Broly would love to test his power out against him one day, and Piccolo has grown leaps and bounds stronger. By this point, with all the power he's gained, he's long since passed Goku and Vegeta at their peaks, at least while they were living. He doesn't know how strong they are in the afterlife, but right now, Piccolo is the strongest mortal in the universe, by far. He's even surpassed Beerus too, but he doesn't know if he'll catch up to Broly. Broly's glad to see that Earth is in good hands. There's been no threats here, but if one ever shows up, Piccolo will stop it with ease. As well as the next generation of fighters. Piccolo does take an interest in Goku and Vegeta Jr., just like Goku took an interest in Noob. He might have to train them to mold them into great warriors. It's kind of funny. Goku waited for the reincarnation of Buu to train him, and now, Piccolo's waiting for the descendants of Goku and Vegeta. It's really going to bring him back to the old days. Broly and Beerus travel around the universe together. Beerus wants to show him a bunch of the good food he found, although they do end up on a new planet that they haven't been at before, one called Planet Cereal. Beerus is excited to try out the food here, and the Shigarians on this planet are actually very welcoming, but weirdly enough, 2 other people show up that don't look to be the same species. Broly's really shocked because one of them's a Namekian, and the other is a guy with green hair. He seems really angry at the first sight of Broly, but then he looks a little bit nervous. This guy's a god of destruction, but he's also clearly a Saiyan, isn't he? Broly begins discussing with him. This man's name is Granola. He's actually still alive because, even though this is 100 years in the future, Cerealians live to be about 200, so that's another 50 plus years he has remaining. He explains what he went through. He eventually got word of Cooler and also the fact that Frieza, Cooler, and King Cold were revived, particularly Frieza and Cooler being revived a few times. Some rumors spread around the universe about this, but Granola never encountered them and he thought that they were just long dead. Someone else must have killed them. But this encouraged Granola to train a lot, and when he was about 100 years old, he was able to kill the Heaters and rid the planet of them. He didn't make a wish for power. He got that power on his own. And he's been living a peaceful life ever since. Though he's a little bit surprised. He didn't know that Saiyans still existed out there, and Broly says that they do, just in a very different way now. He recounts the same tale that he was telling to Goku and Vegeta Jr. Oddly enough, Broly and Granola share something in common. The Saiyans wronged both of them, but Broly got to know the remaining Saiyans. They were actually pretty good people. Well, besides his extended family. He never met Paragus, but the other Broly was pretty crazy. And Aspar wasn't really a great guy either, but still, he eventually mellowed out. Same for Vegeta. Granola still doesn't know how he feels about the Saiyans, but over the years he's definitely calmed down, and he's not focused on revenge. The Heaters are out of his life, and that's the most important thing. Monaido chimes in and says a Saiyan actually saved Granola, and then Whis looks into his staff, curious to see what he means. He's shocked. That's actually true. And the Saiyan who saved Granola, it was Bardock, the father of Goku. This is a big surprise to Broly. He knew nothing about Bardock or Planet Cereal, but he tells them he knows Goku, and looking through Whis' staff, he could definitely see the family resemblance. Whis also chuckles to himself. It seems this guy was also the first Super Saiyan. What? How? Broly thought Goku was the first Super Saiyan. Well, Whis explains how he went back in time, somehow, and became a Super Saiyan, and then killed Frieza's ancestor, Chilled. That's so weird. He's still learning a ton of things about this universe that he never knew before. And Broly smiles. The best part is, as God of Destruction, he could visit Otherworld whenever he wants to. His old friends may be dead, but they're not far away. It was a pretty crazy life they lived, and watching on from a completely separate realm is a demonic scientist. He almost visited this continuity on his own, but it was mostly an experiment. He didn't want to get involved. What an interesting outcome here, having all these things happen together when they're not supposed to. That was very fun to observe. And with that, we end off our story here. What'd you guys think about this story as a whole? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help out the channel, and it shows me want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting the scenario all the way through, and I'll see you all in my next video.